Tonight we're going to see if we can find some animals in the dark. Now this episode I've decided to do it at night time because in Australia heaps of our animals are nocturnal. Almost all of our mammals, which are primarily marsupials, are nocturnal, so we have a much greater chance of seeing something different at night. Now we're going to drive down basically the back roads in my district and looking out the window of the car and seeing what we can find. We might get out at one point and have a bit of a look around, but we'll be just shining the torch out the window and seeing what jumps out at us. So keep watching and we'll see what we can find. Well, the first thing we found was a mob of sheep. Nothing that amazing, but I guess some parts of the world don't have sheep. I'm just completely over sheep. There's thousands of them wherever I go, so that's what we saw first. But the next thing we saw was very interesting, and the funny thing was the cameraman and I were just talking about it. I was telling him about these little birds that come out and all of a sudden appear out of nowhere, and there it is. In my opinion, this is probably the cutest bird in the night world. It's just small and amazing. I was so stoked to see this little thing. That's a nightjar. It's large eyes. That's a predatory little bird. And, look at its feet. See the claws on its feet, if you can see them. And it's sort of shaped a bit like a miniature falcon. And I've seen these things crash into my window at night, and then they get dazzled and they fly off. But I've never managed to see one in the wild like this. Now, this is a good find tonight. The Australian nightjar is called an Owlet Nightjar. That's because it looks so much like a little owl. Nightjars are actually found on every major continent in the world except for Antarctica. So they're quite a common bird, but a lot of people don't know about them because they're nocturnal and they're small and keep to themselves pretty much. So it's quite a nice thing to find them, even though they are actually all over the place. This next bird is very common throughout Australia and is one of the most popular birds, and it's just got such great character. It's a real pleasure to find these. That's a Tawny Frogmouth there now. Another predatory bird. They're quite, I could say, less timid than owls and other nightlife. They've got quite a bit of character, these things. They excellent camouflage for the daytime. They just roost in the trees and no other birds can see them. Check out those talons. Good set of claws there for grabbing mice and other small birds, maybe lizards, frogs, whatever. They've got a huge mouth, typical night vision type eyes. Called Tawny Frogmouth because their mouth's huge and they've got that colour about them. There, that's another great nighttime creature there. Now if you're going to go out at night with a torch in regional areas of Australia, remote or even semi-regional, semi-remote, you're going to find kangaroos. These things are everywhere. Alright, now I've managed to spot a wolf spider. If you get the right angle you can see their eyes, but I can't seem to get it at the moment. And they come out at night, out of their little dens, and they hunt for all sorts of stuff, I suppose. And these have quite a nasty bite. I'll give him a bit of a poke and see what he does. Oh, not very aggressive. Oh, a little bit. He's a bit cold, a bit docile. We'll spin him over, see if I can get it to get a look at its jaws. Alright, now got him pinned. Oh, nearly. There. Okay. See, now you can see little jaws perhaps. He's trying to bite that stick. Little black jaws there. So they're having more of a pincer style action rather than a striking down. And I can actually even see a little bit of venom on those jaws. Yeah. So they look a bit nasty. I've never actually been this sort of up and close with a wolf spider before because they're always so active and fast. This is a very different experience for me because it's docile. And this one's only got 7 legs. There's 3 on the right side, 1, 2, 3. And he's probably getting a bit older. That might be why he's slowed down, who knows. Alright, we'll leave it alone. You can catch yourself a beetle. Now, here's something that's not native to the area. This is called wheel cactus. You can see why it's called that. Shaped just like a wheel. Those big leaves. Massive thorns on it. Big spikes. They break off when you get stabbed by them. They're really nasty. I hate these things. We also get another one. It's called a prickly pear, and that can get out of control too. And in the past, there's been forests of them in Australia, and they introduced the special grub that ate them. I don't know, about 100 years ago, and that brought them under control. But they can still have little local outbreaks of them, and you've got to spray them with a special chemical to wipe them out properly, or inject the leaves with another special chemical, and that will kill them. Same for the wheel cactus, that can get out of control too. But for now, they're just something to look at, which reminds me of the desert. And even though I don't live in the desert, they for some reason they take off here and like it. And yeah, I'll just leave them alone. Love to hate them. Alright, now when you're travelling down the bush roads at night, at some point, or even on the major roads, at some point in Australia, you're going to see a dead kangaroo on the side of the road. So this one though, I wanted to point out because of his exceptional size. They do get bigger, but I just want to show you that how big they can get, particularly compared to the does. A big buck like this, he's a sight to see. So look at his big feet. And his feet are nearly as big as my hands there, just on the end part. And definitely a a male by the look of those gonads. And huge tail, massive tail. And that's why they can sit back on those things and give their opponent a fair kick in the guts. They can put all their weight on that tail when they lean back. Now he's been dead for a few days, so oh, actually, by the way, look at these claws. That incredibly dangerous. Don't ever get near these animals when they're alive and aggressive. It is just so risky. But he's been dead for a few days and he's going very much on the nose. And the maggots in that are coming out of him now are just absolutely gross. I can hear them. I'll take my microphone off. Yeah, did you hear that? Fantastic. And look at this. That is just disgusting. But you know, if you're a fisherman, you'd think, oh, this is heaven. Got enough bait here for the next 10 years. So that, at the moment, that kangaroo's just turning into maggots. And soon, very soon, there'll be just the fur and the bones left. And a few claws. Yeah, gee. And it's a very cold night, and those maggots are very active. But because they're so active, they're creating their own heat, so they're living off each other in as far as the heat goes, and that's enabling them to it sort of works together. It enables them to then continue to move around and not freeze to death. Well, there you go. Hopefully that's as gross as this channel's going to get, but I just wanted to show you. It might be gross, but it's still amazing. This next creature that I'm going to show you was actually around my house, and the footage was taken from nearly 12 months ago, and I finally got a spot to put it because I saw it at night, and it's a relatively uncommon animal to the area, though it is dispersed fairly widely across the whole of Australia. And this is called an echidna, and they protect themselves by burrowing down into the dirt a short way and sticking their spikes back up at you. And I had a challenge to dig it up and get it away from where the dogs are. Ow. Oh, come on. Can't we get... Oh, gee. It's hooked into the ground. I think it's grabbing onto the roots. You know, one of the foxes have trouble getting them. And the dingoes. Ow. Dingo. Got a pair of gloves here, I'll try that. Oh, here we are. Got her. Okay. There it is. There's an echidna. There's two types, I think, and I don't know the difference. I don't know enough about them. But this is, I think, the smaller type. Righto. I'll put my other glove on. Now, I've got the echidna back at the house, and here it is here. It's quite a funny little thing. I think it's a male. Can't see any pouch, and it's terrified naturally. So I'm going to let it go, and yeah, it might be a bit of noise when I do because all the children are pretty excited. So it's going to be a new thing for them. So I'll just let it go next to the house. There's some bushes and that it's probably already been over and looking for ants and whatever, termites, whatever they eat. So I'll do that now, and he can have his freedom again.
Dad's gonna let the echidna go if anyone wants to see. Guys. by the way. Dad's filming. Dad's filming, so we gotta be quiet. Guys, we gotta be quiet.
Okay, you just, yeah, don't be too loud, but you can talk a bit if you like, it's alright. Okay, I'll let him go. I'll just roll it back over. I did wait quite a while for the echidna to walk off, but being quite a shy animal, it waited until I had completely vacated the area and stopped shining the torch on it, so it waltzed off at some point over the next 15 or 20 minutes. Well, there you go, folks. Thanks for watching that little bit different episode that I did for you today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and click on your notifications if you haven't done that. And I'll catch you on the next episode.
Get me outside with my